Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Max. I run an SNMA, a super niche marketing agency, and on this channel we explore how to start, run and grow a successful marketing agency that generates great results for our clients, but also helps us as the entrepreneur to achieve financial time and location freedom. So if that sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing and following along on the journey. In today's video, I want to talk about how to write copy that generates millions of dollars. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the actual definition of what copywriting actually is, then how important it is to identify the needs and desires of your market, and then finally how important testing is. So let's just dive right into it. So let's start off with the definition of what copywriting actually is. But before I do that, let me give you some backstory of how powerful copywriting actually is. So I had a client, and they're still my client to this day, and I onboarded them in 2018. They were a residential roofing contractor in the US, one of the biggest roofing contractors in the US at that time and still to this day. And before I started working with them, they were basically doing $15 million per year. They were doing a ton of TV and radio commercials. They were doing a lot of lead generation websites like Home Advisor, Angie, Thumbtack, etc., etc. I think they were doing some Google ads and even some door knocking, if I'm not mistaken. They were basically scatterbrained, and they were doing a ton of different marketing on a ton of different platforms. And they decided to give it a shot with my marketing agency. And the first thing that we did was that we removed all of their current advertising, moved over to one platform, which was Facebook ads, and we only did Facebook ads for them in the residential market. And what happened over the next 2 years was that they grew from $50 million per year to $33.6 million per year. They went from an advertising budget of $50,000 per month doing TV and radio and Google and lead gen sites, as I just mentioned, and we took them down to less than $20,000 per month only doing Facebook ads. And the main reason we could do that was that we had really good copy for their ads. So they doubled their business from $15 to $33.6 million per year and reduced their advertising budget in less than half. That's the power of really good advertising. So when I titled this video, how to write copy that generates millions, I mean millions of dollars. Copywriting is super powerful. And before we can really dig into the details on how to write copy that generate millions, we really need to define copy first. So what is copywriting? Well, copywriting is basically salesmanship in print. You're basically just trying to get into words what you're doing when you're selling something to someone in words. It's a pretty simple definition, but it's not that easy to do. So that means if you're going to be really good at copywriting, you just have to be a really good salesman in that specific industry. And the easiest way to become a really good salesman in the specific industry is just to focus relentlessly on that industry. And this is the biggest mistake that a lot of marketing agencies do, is that they are a generic marketing agency. They're trying to help everybody with everything, and they're never becoming a really good salesman in that specific industry or really good copywriter in that industry because they're just scatterbrained. So the first step, if you want to become a really good copywriter, is just to focus on one industry at a time, learn what your client is selling, who they're selling to, learns the needs and desires and the pain points. Talk more about that in a second. You're basically trying to figure out why people buy in that specific industry. And once you've learned how to do the salesmanship, that's when you can transfer it over to copywriting to write really good copy. So the best copywriter is not going to be the best marketer, it's going to be the best salesman, because they know their industry and market a lot better than just a marketing guy that has no experience in it, essentially. So that takes me to point number 2, which is needs and desires. So if you want to be able to write copywriting that sells millions of dollars, you really need to learn the needs and desires of your market. And what I mean by that at any given time in a specific market, there is a group of people, right? That's the actual market. They have a current situation that they're currently in, and then they have a desired situation where they want to get to. And it could literally be anything. You know, you have overweight people who want to lose weight. You have people with an old iPhone who want to get a new iPhone. You have a business owner with no leads and appointments, and they want to get a lot of leads and appointments. So this is basically the needs and desires. This is basically what drives the entire world economy, that people want to achieve a certain thing or a certain future. And your job as an entrepreneur, or let's say copywriter, is to communicate to your market that you can help them to get there. You're basically utilizing their own needs and desires in your copy to show that you can help them to get to their desired situation. And that's how you write really good ad copy. Then you can mix in some scarcity and some urgency. You need to know how to write really good headlines that grabs their attention. You need to know how to write really good call to actions, etc. And that's something that you learn over time. But really the main thing when you want to do copywriting is that you want to learn the needs and desires of your market, because it's impossible to write ad copy unless you know your market really well. You as the copywriter cannot figure out by yourself how to write good ad copy for a specific industry. You can only get those needs and desires from the market. You cannot create new desires, but you can only utilize the desires who already exist in the market in your ad copy. So that's why it's so important to focus on the needs and desires when you want to write really, really good ad copy. The third thing that I want to talk about if you want to write ad copy that generate millions is that testing is your friend. So if you go back to that client that I mentioned earlier, who we took from a $50,000 per month advertising budget down to $20,000 per month in advertising budget, and they doubled their 8-figure business in less than 2 years. The only way that we could get there was by testing. And basically what I mean by that is that we started out with the first type of ad copy for their Facebook ads. It didn't work. We tested a new variation. It didn't work. We tested a third one, a fourth one, a fifth one, the sixth one. And then after like the 10th or 11th iteration, or maybe even more, maybe it was the 20th iteration, I don't remember exactly. But then we found that one ad copy and one ad creative that really worked really, really well. And then we just utilized that same ad copy and ad creative for years to come. And if I would have stopped after 2 tries or after 5 tries or after 19 tries, I would have never have found that one formula of ad copy and ad creative that really, really works. So it's so important when you're an advertiser or a copywriter to test. Test different ad copies, see what the feedback is, test the ad creatives, see what the feedback is, and over time you reiterate, and you're just trying to find that combination of ad copy and ad creative that works really well, and then you can just take that and scale it to the moon. So if you've tested and you haven't found any results, test some more, and if you haven't found any results by then, just test, because once you find that formula, you're going to be very happy that you didn't stop, and that money that you will earn from that variation that works will be well worth the time and the pain that you went through just to find it, essentially. So that's basically it for today's video. That's how you write ad copy that can literally generate millions of dollars for yourself or for your clients. Understand the definition of copywriting is super important. Know that just copywriting is just salesmanship in print. That's it. So to be able to write really good ad copy, you have to know your industry and know how to do sales in that specific industry. That's the only way you can write really powerful ad copy. The second thing is that you have to learn the needs and desires in the market. You cannot create needs and desires for a specific market as a copywriter. If you do that and you're trying to create new desires for a specific market in your ad copy, you're going to be very disappointed by the results, and it's going to be hard for you and you're going to lose money. Instead, what you need to do is to learn what needs and desires the market already has, and then utilize those needs and desires in the ad copy. That's how you get results with advertising campaigns and copy. And then the third thing we talked about is that testing is your friend. If you're somebody who's easily giving up, being a copywriter and marketer is not going to be good for you. You have to have patience. You have to test. And even when you find a recipe that is working, you should still continue to test and see if you can improve it even more. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below as well. I would love to hear your thoughts regarding this video. And if you want to see more content like this, you can check out this video. And until then, I hope to see you in that video, essentially. Bye.